My parents always said my sister was the one who would go far in life. She was smart, confident, beautiful, and everything they wanted in a daughter. While I was the quiet one standing in the background, watching from a distance, trying to earn a little attention that never seemed to come my way growing up. Every achievement of mine was compared to something my sister had already done if I got good grades. They reminded me that she had done better if I won an award. They talked about her bigger accomplishments. It felt like I was running a race I could never win. I learned very early that expecting praise only led to disappointment. So I stopped asking for it. Instead, I poured my energy into something else, something nobody knew about while everyone focused on my sister. I spent years building a dream in silence. I studied late at night, worked part-time jobs, saved every penny, and taught myself skills nobody thought I could master. My sister, Emily, enjoyed all the attention. She never questioned it because it was the only life she had known. She believed our parents when they told her she was special and that I would always struggle to keep up at family gatherings. Relatives praised her while I smiled politely from the corner. Each compliment directed at her felt like another reminder that I did not belong in my own family still. I never hated my sister. Deep down, I knew she was not the one creating the comparisons. She was simply living inside a story our parents had written long ago. Then one evening, everything began to change. My parents hosted a celebration for Emily after she received a promotion at work. The house was full of laughter and proud speeches. I sat quietly listening as they talked about her bright future. My father raised his glass and smiled at. "Here you have always been the daughter who makes us proud." Room erupted with applause and his eyes shifted toward me. Some people simply are not meant for greatness. Words landed harder than anyone realized. Eddie smiled because that was what I had trained myself to do. But inside, something broke. At that night, I returned home and opened my laptop, looked at the company I had spent years secretly building, company nobody knew. Exitstead company that had just secured a life-changing partnership. For years I had hidden my success because I wanted it to stand on its own without my family claiming credit to what I did not know. That night was that my sister was about to discover everything, and when she did, the truth would destroy the story our parents had spent decades creating. A few weeks later, Emily accidentally learned the truth. One of her colleagues mentioned my company during a business meeting. They spoke about its rapid growth and the young founder behind it. When Emily heard my name, she laughed because she thought it was impossible, but the more details she heard, the quieter she became. That evening, she showed up at my apartment for the first time in years. She looked uncertain, stepped inside, and stared at the awards hanging on my wall. Certificate, contracts, achievements nobody in my family had ever seen. He watched her face change as she realized how much of my life had been hidden from her. "We did you never tell us?" Your voice sounded almost hurt. He looked at her and finally spoke honestly because nobody wanted to know. Silence between us felt heavy for days afterward. Emily struggled with what she had learned. Started noticing things she had ignored. For years, way our parents dismissed math. Way every conversation became a comparison. Way my achievements were overlooked before they were even understood. Then she began asking questions our parents did not like. Heat. First they denied everything, then they became defensive. Eventually the arguments grew louder. Emily confronted them repeatedly. "He did you treat her differently? He did you always put me above her?" Instead of answering, they blamed me. They claimed I was creating division in the family. They accused me of being secretive and selfish. Sharing those words hurt more than I expected. Even after everything I had accomplished, they still refused to see maybe something inside me had changed. For the first time, I stopped chasing their approval. Stopped trying to prove my worth. Realized that no amount of success could convince people determined not to value me. Meanwhile, Emily continued uncovering uncomfortable truths. She found old report cards where my achievements had been ignored. She found letters from teachers praising me that had never been shown to relatives. Even discovered opportunities I had earned years earlier that my parents had discouraged me from pursuing because they wanted all attention focused on her. More she learned The more devastated she became the only evening she arrived at my apartment in tears. She never saw it before and never understood what they were doing to Yo for the first time. I saw genuine regret in her eyes. She told her the truth. You were never my enemy, was fighting a system built around favoritism. Those words changed everything between us. Instead of competitors, we became a lesson together. We prepared to face the people who had created so much pain. What my parents did not realize was that the truth was about to become impossible to hide. Several months later, my company hosted a major event celebrating a national expansion. Business leaders, investors, and media representatives attended. It was the biggest moment of my career when invitations were sent out. My parents eagerly accepted because they believed it would be another opportunity to support Emily. They still had no idea who the event was actually on. A ranked evening Aravet room glowed with lights and excitement. Guests filled the hall while cameras captured every moment. My parents entered confidently beside Emily and they noticed my photograph displayed across giant screens. Confusion spread across their face. Moments later, I walked onto the stage. The audience stood and applauded. The parents sat frozen. For years they had believed I would never accomplish anything significant. How hundreds of people were celebrating work I had built entirely on my own. As I delivered my speech, I spoke about perseverance, resilience, about finding strength when nobody believes in you. I never mentioned my parents by name. I never attacked them. I did not need to. Truth was already visible. After the presentation, countless guests approached me with praise and admiration. Investors thanked my partners, congratulated me. Reporters requested interviews. My parents watched from a distance for the first time. They understood what they had missed. Later that evening, my father approached me quietly. His confidence was gone. His voice sounded smaller than I had ever heard. To wrong, those 3 words carried years of regret, but something surprising happened. He felt no anger, no desire to embarrass them, no need for revenge, because the greatest revenge had already happened. He had succeeded. Without their support, he had built a life they could not control, and most importantly, I no longer needed their approval. Emily stood beside me and smiled. The bond between us had become stronger than ever. The competition our parents created had finally disappeared. In its place was understanding, hanging respect. Over time, my parents tried to repair the damage. Some wounds healed slowly, others left permanent scars. But I learned that peace does not come from making others suffer. Peace comes from recognizing your own worth. Today, when I look back on those painful years, I no longer see the girl standing in her sister's shadow. I see someone who kept moving forward despite rejection. Simeon, who transformed heartbreak into strength. Simeon, who discovered that value does not come from being chosen by others. It comes from choosing yourself, and that became the most important lesson of my life. Sometimes the people who overlook you are the very people who teach you how powerful you truly are.